to do all day is delete clips off my phone because my phone's always clogging up. Sorry, Wally, for taking the time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I got a question related to this. I believe is it Power Play, the program where the coaches are providing constant feedback to the parents and players?
That's the one I use, yeah.
Yeah, Dominic, that's if I was to advocate anything, because it deals with the behavioral side of coaching and the accountability side, and the fact that a coach is taking the time to report back to the kids and the parents about how the kids are practicing and playing. I think that's the biggest effect, at least when I heard their presentation. The impact it has is on the buy-in from parents. Can you comment on it in a way that, Mike, that might further reinforce that importance of that?
Yeah, so I think at the youth level and all the way up to high school, I've used it into high school level as well. I think because the parents are so intertwined with the player, that if you're not educating the parent with the player, this is where you get these chasms in trying to teach. So I've used the Power Player guys as a vehicle for me to communicate to the kids, but I'm really communicating to the parents, right? I'm sending like, hey, Michael, I really liked the way you played yesterday. I thought you did this well. And, these are the kind of things we need to look at next time. I can send that to him privately, but I know it's going to him privately because the way they have it set up, though, it goes to the mom and dad as well. So I'm communicating to the parent and the player. And it's not a two-way communication tool. It's not like, Snapchat or something. It just goes to them. Yeah. And then I ask them, there's a like button, and all I do is ask them to like it just so I know they read it. And okay, just let me know you opened it up and you saw the video or you saw the comment. And then what Power Player does is it allows me also to the kids get, we do like physical fitness testing, and they don't see who the other kids are, but they see where they're at within the rest of the team. So they'll say,
yeah,
I'm in the top 10%. Like, oh, you don't play me but I'm the fastest kid. I go, well, according to every statistic we have, you're the slowest kid. Or, this is where your game can improve. But it doesn't allow you to see the other kids' scores. It just allows you to know what your aggregate score is within the team.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it really works out pretty well.
So what's the cost of that?
So they have it it's pretty cheap now. It's like $19 a year per player or something like that. And again, if you use it like the way I use it, they're getting feedback. It's almost like I don't know if you guys use this, Dominic, school. There's a program called Class Dojo. And so Class Dojo in the U.S. is like
Schoology or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, the teachers could put comments in there all the time and the parents see where their kid is all the time. Like, oh, my son, like I hate it actually because my little guy, my third grader, like they got Class Dojo and I find out, oh, Arthur was in line, did a good job standing in line today or something. Like, I don't give a crap about all this. This is crazy. Like, it's like to me, it's like, why don't you teach? You don't have time to be on your iPad telling me how my kid's behaving in class every day. But so I compare Power Player as like the Class Dojo. It's a way for me once a week or twice a week to go in, and it's all toggles. So it's not like you have to do a lot of it's not like a time consuming program. I can toggle the kid between like 70 and 90% is kind of my window. So I'll say, okay, here's how you performed in the game yesterday. And you can see, I'm 90% or I'm 70% compared to the rest of the kids on my team. Yeah. And it just gives them an idea of, saying, hey, this is what, because, and I don't mean to be harsh to most parents, but I'm like, well, I don't care what you think. It doesn't matter what you think. It only matters what I think. Even if I'm wrong, it only, like, you can't, like, I want to hear your comments, but at the end of the day, the only thing that affects your child's position with me is how I think about your kid. Like, what my perception is, whether it's right or wrong, it's my perception. And I'm telling you what I think. I know what you think, but and then now you can help. And I try to do this with my own kids. Like, if I know what the coach thinks of you, then I know how to coach you to be the best player for the coach. And if I don't think your effort's there, then there's a conversation you can have with me. about how you think your effort's there. I can say, well, I don't think your effort's there. Okay, then tell me how. Let's collaborate on how we're going to get your effort there, or how we're going to get to a point where now your output and how I think your output is the same.
Yeah.
And
so, yeah. So you control that, like your assistants won't have anything to do. You basically control that power player. So your assistants, they pretty much just facilitate your during the game, the defense and the forwards, and then in practice, I'm assuming they're helping to manage parts of the ice. But as far as the power player and the feedback, you basically run that feedback. You're not having them doing any of that.
Well, so we have a goalie program, like we have a goalie staff that does like goalies for our programs. So I give them access to the goalies. So they send video and they can send feedback to the goalies on their own. And then you can designate other members of the staff. I don't in particular with the last couple of teams, because I've had my staff is other parents.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't think it's fair to them to be critiquing the other kids.
Sure.
So I tend not
totally.
to. But you can give as many assistant coaches, or like I give access to one of the young guys that does our mental toughness training, we call it. But he does like his little alert once a week about how the kids can have some mindfulness and how they can have better mental, preparation for games. And he'll have access because he'll be able to say, hey, this is a great thing that you can do as a player to prepare for your games tomorrow. And then it's not always just coming from me.
Yeah.
You give as much access or as little access to other staff members as you want.
Yeah.
And then I use it organizationally. Like when I start working with other new organizations that have 10 or 12 teams, we put all the coaches on the power player to use as a communication device. And then I can go back in there and say, hey, your 12U coaches haven't never once did an outreach to your parents and kids. And it, in my opinion, it directly correlates to how that team's doing. No communication. Yeah. I guarantee that team's not a happy team. Now, and we just do it because it's the only way to really monitor it. Now, a coach could come back to me and say, no, I email the parents and I talk to everybody after games and practices. Okay, well, let's see how your team's doing then. And most of the time, if they're not, just on these calls every single week, if you're not communicating to your kids and your players and your parents, then most likely you're failing. And it's hard. It's if you just, I use the example all the time. I used to be, when I first started coaching as a young coach, I'd be like, I'm Mike Benelli. Congratulations, you made the team. See you at the banquet. Like, don't ever call me. Don't come to me. And I think that's, obviously that's, you just can't coach that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
and I actually
agree with that.
I actually think this, and Wally, you might be able to speak to it just based off the conversations you've had with Dave and Steve and the guys at the power player. But I think it actually opens up more communication, because I think it allows some stuff not to fester. It allows you to say what you need to say, and then there's no ambiguity to how you're thinking. Like, this is direct. Like, Michael, I think you struggled last night, and maybe it was because of this, this, and this. All right, great. Now I know. But it also then allows a parent to approach you with something like a tangible question. Like, Michael told me that you really thought he was struggling with the decisions he was making at the blue line. Oh yeah, I was. Well, what are those? What is he struggling with? Now you can have a real conversation with that parent.
Right.
As opposed to, all these just vague, like, oh, he's just got to work harder. Oh, he's just got to, I'm like, well, what the hell is that?
Blanket statement. I had a parent. They went to a Wenatchee. It's a BCHL team. They had camp, and then they had feedback, and the feedback was, you've got to improve your skating. And I said, well, did they give you any further feedback? And like, no, they just said that I had to improve my skating. I'm like, well, okay. So it's like, yeah, I mean, So, anyways, Wally, had your hand up.
Yeah, go ahead, Wally. Sorry.
Yeah, my question was, as soon as I did that program, and I just had the thought now, I began by talking about uh, I've made an application for a mentorship contract for 3 U13 teams in a AA, AAA association. Well, to tell you the truth, and Tom Malloy might agree with this, I'm going to call the president and say, you should program this. It'll teach the coaches to be engaged and communicate with parents better. So how did you get hooked, and were you able to get your parents or your association to afford to purchase it? Because it really isn't that expensive in terms of the value that you get out of it by involving the coach in some objective data and communication. So I'm going to pitch this moving forward, pull myself out of the mentorship application, but I would be a supportive player of this with this association. And the 3 U13 teams would be the youngest age division that haven't been corrupted by the system of shortening the bench yet, and managing the bench properly. And we've talked about this at the NHL level, but the idea of communicating with parents and respecting and appreciating the effort coaches put in. So, Mike, if you've got any ideas, like how did you sell it? How did you get it started? Because, $20 a player is like, it's 400 a team.
And yeah, which down here like a half an hour of ice. So, like, to me, it all depends on where you're at, right? But I mean, for me, it's the investment you make in each kid, and for $20 a kid for a season. Now, it all depends. If you like, so one of the ways I help organizations is when they buy the system, I say that no matter what happens, I'm going to be in the role as administrator, and I'm going to send something out every week, like from me. Like, there's going to be whether it's a motivational quote, whether it's a point to the players, whether it might be something stupid like for the little guys, I always put out like my guide to knowing when to sharpen your skates kind of thing, like things that parents just don't know. Or how the stick buying guide, or maybe there's a video from Tim Turk, or so I can manage and start to train. Down here, I use the example. You guys might in Canada, you probably have coffee shops in every rink, but down here, you go to a rink at 7:00 in the morning. The snack bar's never open. There's no coffee, and you're like, I'm dying here. So what do parents do? They all go to Dunkin' Donuts. No Tim Hortons, unfortunately, down here, but they all go to Dunkin' Donuts. They bring their coffee into the building, and then the snack bar people wonder why nobody is ever buying coffee, because there's no expectation that there'd be coffee there. Like, well, I always bring coffee to a rink because most of the time it's like it's like McDonald's ice cream machines. Like, they're just not going to be, it's not going to be working, right? So I do the same thing with the power player. I'm like, listen, if I start to train your parents and your kids that there's going to be information in there for you, then it's a lot easier for the coaches to now start injecting information, because it's almost expected. It's something where if I can give them like some real generic things that they can send out, so they don't have to do a lot of work, because I think it's very intimidating for coaches sometimes, is that here, I'm giving you the information, you're just going to send it out as yours, and it might just be a little tiny thing like, hey, these are great tips for being a great defenseman, or here's some tips on pregame meals, or whatever, and then it actually snowballs. You'll see it's almost one of those things where as you communicate a little, it gets very contagious, and you end up, people want more, and you want to give more.
Yeah, I like that, because I wouldn't withdraw myself. I would be the catalyst to seeing it work.
Yeah, you're the driver of that change. You're the one that says, listen, you're hiring me for my intellectual property. The only way for me to get that intellectual property out to the mass of your players is for me to send it out. And then the coaches then to pile on.
Yeah. One of the things that I was curious about, Mike, with that system, they had a lot of skill tests and measurement of things, which coaches don't like to do. They take time. And I've always advocated the time measuring those skill tests is time preventing you from developing them. How important is that when they're practicing 3 times a week or 2 times a week, playing 2 games a week? How feasible is it? Do they follow those testing guidelines? They're a key part of the feedback. I love the feedback on behavioral qualities, the input on the players, the tracking by the coach of their commitment, their hard work, and that kind of thing. But how much of it is spent on by the coach on having to test?
Yeah, so it all depends on the organization. I personally don't use any of the metric testing at all. It's just it's too time consuming. Like I don't do, I don't do all the drills. Like all the now some organizations that I start with will do 3 combines a year, and we'll use that piece of the software. So we'll have a combine preseason. We'll have like a holiday combine, then an end of the year combine, and what all that is to show progress. Now, some organizations don't like using it because their kids don't progress. So who wants to show a kid that he's not getting faster, right? So a lot of people get a little intimidated by it. But I don't use, I don't know. It's just very time consuming, and I don't find a lot of value in my time to run those tests. They do, it's a great feature for if you're doing combine type stuff, or doing like sit-ups, push-ups, 50-yard dashes, whatever it is. I use it purely for the communication tool and the feedback.
Okay. No, I agree with you. I think that's the only thing I would use it for communication.
Yeah, and it just and it just beats. Like I like the fact that it's not. You can send it just to the defenseman. You could send something just to the goalies. You could send something just to one player that nobody else sees. It's just you and the player and the parent. And there's no. And I think that, and to me, as I get, to going back to Dominic asking about the time, sometimes I will see something like one clip of a player, or a lot of parents will send me clips, especially at the Bantam level, like at the kids 14U, when checking started coming and they get a penalty, and the parent like, that's not a penalty. I'm like, it is a penalty. So the parent will, they'll go right to Live Barn. They'll send me the clip, explain to me why this is a penalty. And now I get to really give them real feedback. I'm like, okay. I download, I have the film. Thank you for doing all that work. I'm not going to go look for it. And then I'll tell you, this is what the ref saw, what I saw, and this is the actual, thanks, Tim. And this is the actual penalty, and this is why it was called. And then we can educate the parent and the player. And I think that's how I use the system.
Well, I'll tell you what, the idea I've got here, Tom, with the Royals, I know they pay a monthly fee, and I would offer reducing that fee by $100 a month over the course of the 5 or 6 month season to pay for the cost of power play for them. I think that just getting them to use it is huge. And I know having them pay for it outright, but as a part of the package, that basically I would be financing. And I think that's, to me, is exactly what Tom talked about. It's not that the coaches can still ask you for stuff and you can send them information, but it's what they do with what they've got and how they apply it. This is a tool that causes them to have to communicate. And
so Wally, I use that term with my organizations. I call it proactive communication. Like I'm going to help you learn how to communicate by proactively sending information out there that you then can respond to. Like I think most coaches aren't good at that piece. Like they think it's time consuming and it clogs up their day. They all want to work on the power play, but nobody wants to work on communicating to their athletes. And to me, especially at that 13 year old age group, it's really communicating to the kids' managers, right? Their parents, the ones that are with them, the other 22 hours out of the day. And that's
What's it called again?
The power player. Or power player. I'm not sure if it's the power player or a power player. But it's basically, I know Wally had met with that group. But I think you could, like, again, once you get them into it and you start sending them information, then it's much easier for the coaches to jump on board and send out their own information.
Mike, I'm going to ask you a favor. The president of this association, I mentored him. He's my age, but I mentored him coaching a minor midget AAA team years ago. And he's now president of the association. I've done the mission statement exercise with him and 4 of the board members. And I have to say it was a waste of time because they did it as a small group, and of the 4 people, 2 of them really bought into it. And the association functioned as usual. Not bad, but the same. Spinning their tires, not behaviorally coaching with the kids in terms of earning ice time and developing good behaviors and attitudes on the ice in a practice. They just created entitled players by letting the best players play more often and exhibit bad behaviors on the ice. So would you be willing, if I got the president to contact you, to talk to him about it and how it works and how you use it, and you would advise me about using it? Because I think the model, I don't like the skill testing. It's too time consuming.
Yeah.
And I think I'm looking at 3 teams this year. And after that, I don't know how many more teams there are, Tom. 2 AA, 2 AAA. How many more teams, Tom? They've got 3 Pee Wee.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure. There's 3 AA Bantam teams, and then 1 AAA one, and then they have the minor midget, but yeah.
Well, it's going to be close to 8 teams eventually getting in on it. But I think experimenting with it with 3 U13 teams and their coaches, to me, that's an investment for me. Like I got nothing else to do. I'd love to see how it works, and it's something I haven't done. So I'm the same as the coach using it.
Can you?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see this here, Wally. I know you had trouble seeing the screen earlier, but this is I'm sharing my team screen.
I can't see it. No.
Yeah. I don't know, Tom, can you see it or no? Or
Yeah,
Dominic?
but I just got my phone now, so I really can't read it. It's tiny.
Yeah, no problem. But
I can't see the shared screen. I'm not sure why that is, but
yeah. All right. It says it's sharing, but it's not a problem. Well, I mean, I could even set them. I can even, I can have them log in to my, right to my account and see exactly, see how it works and why it works and how I use it. But I don't know if you so on my screen here, I sent this video out to the kids surfing and swarming, good examples from practice, and it's just a video. I don't even know where the video is from. It's probably from it's definitely from an NHL game, Carolina, Boston, and I'm able to send it right to the kids, and all it took was like a 2-minute, a little 2 minutes of finding a clip.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to pursue this and approach it in a different way. I got asked to make an application. It was just as a courtesy being asked. And I think this is a real thing that might work, because mentorship hasn't worked for me at all, ever. It's just reinventing of the wheel. And how effective, like in what you do, Mike, your title is Hockey Solutions Architect, and I love your terminology of a proactive communication with the coaches. you're managing to sustain what you do full time in a developmental way. How big of an influence has power play been in that?
Yeah, pretty big, because it's just I'm able to it helps me manage my communication better, because it just allows me to, do one set of guidelines that I want to send out, and I can go in, I could show you, I could offline, I could show you my screen, but I can go in and have like the same template that I want to send out, like my weekly Mike Benelli Hockey Solutions, thought of the week, and I can send it out to 7 different organizations, with just the push of a button. So for me, it's like, okay, how can I hit 300 parents and players within an organization with their coaches in the most efficient way? And the Power Player platforms allowed me to do that. There are other platforms out there. It's just like one of those things. Once you start getting comfortable with something, and all your data is all in one place, it's hard to go. Dominic uses Huddle. I was using Huddle for a long time, and then I went over and started using a different platform. And it's hard. Sometimes you're just like, well, listen, I like the platform I'm in because everything's in here. Like, why I can't change it? It's like switching email providers, right? So it's like, to me, it's just simple. But I found, I thought it was, I thought they, got to remember, when I first started using Power Play, it was like $68 a kid.
Yeah.
It was unsustainable. I mean, I'm like, nobody's going to buy this. It doesn't make, it's not, you want to go for the masses. And now they've just added lacrosse. They have baseball. They have soccer. So again, it's, to me, we talked about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago when I was on about tryouts. Like, to me, it's allowed the organization then at the end of the day to sort their kids at the end of the season and really see what their coaches thought about them in a rating system. That's basically the push of a button. Like, okay, I've rated them all year. I've seen them for 27 weeks. This is what I think about the kid, and this is where I think they should go for the next year. Not how they looked in the last 3 hours, but how they looked in the last, 20 weeks.
Yeah. No, it sounds like something I've sort of forgotten about. Let's slip through the cracks because I haven't applied it and used it. But I may be contacting you a little more, Mike, to pursue it. I don't know if this gentleman's going to stay president of the association or not, but all the organizations here, they need help. There's no doubt about it. And any way you can get your foot in the door with a tool that engages the coaches and the parents, it's a no-brainer. So I'm really glad that we got to talk about that. I really had no idea what the agenda would be today with the call. I've got, I mentioned Ken Babby and Billy Bridges coming on, hopefully on the 19th. Thomas Pacina wanted to come on again and show some more video. Now listen, for my sake, technologically, I'm going to see if I can share my screen with you, but I may have to renew my Skype to do that. So I'm just going to try to share my screen just for the sake of screen sharing. And I don't think I can do it. My screen that comes up. Do you guys see a scene?
Yeah.
Mountains.
Yeah, I can't get rid of that mountain. That's all I get. So I don't know what else to do.
You will have to go to, let's see, you're in Skype.
Yeah.
So on the share screen button, you're sharing your desktop. I think you need to go to a window. Like on the right, there should be choose the screen to share.
It says switch screen or a window.
Yeah, you want to go to a different window.
Switch screen.
Yeah.
Anything come up?
No. You got to go to a different. You got to switch window.
How do you do that?
So click on the share screen button on the bottom where you were
Yeah.
with the little arrow. If you click on that, it should come up. On the left, it should say desktop, which you're on now, it looks like. And on the right, it should say window.
All I've got is confirm stop sharing, which is I've done. And if it says to click on switch screen or a window. When I click on that,
yeah,
switch screen comes up.
Yeah.
So I'm clicking on switch screen and nothing happens.
I guess my only other question would be, do you have another screen actually opened?
Oh, I see your cursor moving there now, Wally.
Yeah, you're on your desktop. I can see you're on your desktop. You just need to open up a screen. You need to open up. Do you have a video you wanted to show?
Yeah, I'll go to my site. Can I do that? Just show you a video?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see.
By the way, I'm going to put this in the chat, but Thomas Pacina was on the Glass and Out. He was on Aaron. He was on Aaron Wilbur's podcast from the coach's site, and his interview was great.
Good. Okay, I'm calling this thing up. This is an old. Can you guys see that?
Attack my enemy. Kill the things I need to eat.
Can hear it.
That's a different window. I hear it. It's a different window, though.
I think I got a room full of eagles.
Listen
That's
up.
what some people are. Ducks. Got a few working for you? You see the
We hear it.
What? You know who they are? You got names already, don't you? You know who these little waddlers are? How you doing today? I'm fine. Room's too hot. Food wasn't there. Not enough coffee. He said I'd get the next laptop. How come I didn't get the new cruiser?
I'm trying to get this full screen
What a mallard.
to show to you.
Your job as a leader is to get this duck doing what? Soaring like an eagle.
It's hard to tell why.
You give
where
them
we're-
cues that'll separate them from the masses. See, one thing about a duck, I call them ducks because they're like losers. It comes from an old thing that came out by Wayne Dyer years ago. They're losers. And losers got to be around what? Other losers. So if you get up with your attitude of neutral, guess what's going to happen? Some loser's going to attach himself to you. And next thing you know, you just quit soaring. If you come in like an eagle, they can't get you on the pond, you see. But if you walk in saying, how you doing? Fine. And you have
You might have to. I think what you have to do is, so we can all hear your video, but I think what you need. I'm
you
pretty
get up with
sure.
attitude and gratitude. You get up with a positive attitude.
Yeah, I'd like to, I just put it on pause. I'm trying to figure out how I can share my screen because there's things I want to do at different times and I don't have that ability right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just it's odd to me that when you hit share screen, that the other window you have in your computer and opened because like we can hear it is not showing, but I got to run. I got to put some more floorball sticks together. But I do want to. I think next week, Stefan Matteau wanted to come on. So
hey, speaking of floorball sticks, where do you get your floorball sticks from?
I get them. Well, I make them here, so I get them from. I get them in Finland though.
You want to? How much? Why do you get them in Finland? Just cheaper?
Yeah, well, because I can't get anything from China right now because it's shut down. But and I hate using China. But yeah. So right now the Excel floorball is the company I work with. So they're probably the best sticks on the market. They're these, they just have they have a nicer blade, and this is the one we just did that for. Like Stefan Matteau has a bullying club he does. He does this big presentation on bullying and self-acceptance and stuff. So. But yeah, no, most of the programs I'm doing now, I'll do like a custom stick.
Yeah, because I'm just the reason I ask, I'm just looking to get some floorball because they don't in Europe. There's guys they do that in the summer all the time, and like the Europeans were like unbelievable at it, And I'm looking to try to get some floor balls. And I know there's a guy at Hockey Canada that I talked to a little bit, but yeah, I was curious as to where you get them from. So is there a contact that you have as far as getting that?
Balls and sticks, or you need everything?
I need everything.
Yeah, I'll send you a price for. We have a thing called a school package. So it's like 30 sticks, righties, lefties. Because I think you're really, for your level kid, you're really going to want a curved stick. You don't want straight blade, because you want them to be able to really handle the ball.
Yeah, especially with the girls being able to.
Yeah, it comes in a bag, and I don't know. I could even probably get you. Well, I'll send you the pricing, because we could even do them custom, like the one I did for. These are the ones. This is the one we just did for my program, the Connecticut Junior Rangers. So it's a nice looking custom stick, and I can do as small as usually I can do as little as 60 sticks.
Yeah, no, I'd be in for that for sure, because we've got a small gym here. I'm running programs. I'd love to be able to supplement it. So if you could send me that.
I should have some pretty good video of the Zegers and Cole Caulfield using their sticks. I just got them, and they're doing all kinds of crazy shit. I mean, they're just
I can imagine.
They have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, if you could send me that. What's the turnaround typically with how long to get them?
Like 3 weeks, custom.
Yeah.
I can get them out there. Cool. I mean, right now the biggest thing is it's shipping is nuts. Like you can't.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. So usually, but we can figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like as I say, I've been trying to figure out a way to get them, but
I just started doing the custom ones, like the one-offs. Like I couldn't do custom unless I had like 300 sticks, but now I can do as little as like 60, no problem, basically around the same price, because I build them here in Brewster, New York.
Oh wow!
But I'll get all the school information, and then we'll get Wally playing a little bit.
All right. Well, I'm going to figure this.
Figure that screen out
later. Guys, I'm going to have to sign off here. Thanks for another great session. Listen, if you want to get Stefan to come on, we'd love to have him. I've got nobody formally planned other than the 19th, possibly with Ken Babby.
I'm going to invite him for the 12th. So I'll let you know today. I'll be talking to him this afternoon. He'd love to speak about his book and really talk about his path and everything. I think he'd love it.
Real good. Take care. Okay, everybody. So long.
Thanks, Wally.
All right. Yeah.
See you there, Wally. When are you going to come ride the bike?
Well, my son-in-law brought a bike over. My bike got stolen, so he gave me his bike. I did 2 laps around the block yesterday. I'm not sure when, Tom. I'm just trying to get healthy enough to ride the bike around the block, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I'll come over. Okay. Take care, everybody. I got to sign off here.
See you, Wally.
Okay.